Today's job, we're going to have a go at fixing a key. So a customer contacted me. They have an E60 Tourer and it's non-starting. You put the key in the ignition, turn the key, nothing happens at all. So I decided to go out and have a look. I had a spare CAS with me and that could certainly turn the dash on. So we knew we had something more to do with the terminal control rather than anything else like a battery or whatever. So I decided then, pull out the AK90, which I mentioned in my last video, as that's good for reading keys and at least checking them. So we have him up here again. We go for test key and we get nothing. So that was one of the first clues, was we certainly have some sort of a key problem. So I bring the key away with me, got it here on the bench, open it up and see if I can find out what's wrong with it. Now in my case, the key had already been opened before and stuck together with super glue, so it was easier for me to get in. But on a new key that hasn't been opened, can be a bit of a struggle separating the two halves and getting inside. But got inside and then onto some first little checks. Power was the first thing I checked, and that was between, if I can get it to this pad and this pad, and they come off the battery and we're getting our 3 volts. So our battery there on the other side, he's okay. The buttons and switches can also be a bit of a pain, so I went and I checked those as well. That would be going through on resistance, and you do need kind of 3 hands for this, but I'd got them like that. Hit the button and just make sure we see our changes to resistance to show the buttons are working. So we had voltage, we had power. I looked around at anything else, didn't see anything different, but then I came across the coil. So this coil, he's pretty free moving and he can slide up and down, and that I don't believe should happen. So checking then resistance between this connections and that connection on the coil, we got an open circuit. So that led me to believe the issue we have here is this coil winding is broken. The battery wouldn't have been needed just to read the key. The AK90 and of course the BMWs, the coil that they use to read the data in and out also powers up this coil. They sort of both work. One coil powers the other coil, and that would then power enough stuff for the immobilizer to work. So even if this battery was dead, the remote wouldn't working, but your EWS side still would, as that coil would induce enough voltage to get this electronics working and talking and giving the EWS code. So the next thing then is thinking, right, the coil is likely to be the problem. So got it on the microscope. And there's our problem. So that little wire, part of the coil, he has come loose. Now originally he wasn't sitting up like that, he was rotating, he was sitting sort of more down underneath, but if I get him we can see the whole thing sort of slides up and down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attempt to solder that wire onto the metal and we'll see if we got this talking again. So this is going to be quite the fine soldering job. I'm going to get a little bit of flux onto here first. There we go. And we'll want to get a bit of solder. And first off, I want to just get a bit of solder on this tab. Brilliant, there we go, we're shiny. So now, let's see if we can get that wire to stick into our solder. So let me find the sharpest tweezers I've got. Now that's about the width of a human hair. And it's kind of wobbly as well, because I haven't got it mounted in anything. Are we in? We are in. Okay, right, so we have one connection there. Let's give this a shot again with the AK90 and see if we can read it. Key ready, AK90 ready, and our software ready. So stick him into our reader and we can go test key. And yes, there we go. So we're back alive again. There's our details. We have CAS, CAS 2, CAS 3, so it's recognised an E60 style key. Hasn't mentioned down the number, maybe that's normal. Kilometre reading, the VIN number, and so on. So I think we've got that one fixed. And there's our handiwork. So got into it and we have got a connection now onto there. So the clue on that one was if it wasn't reading anything, when these keys should be able to read even unpowered, it gives you a clue that there's something up with the coil there, which is the main way that it gets data in and out. The battery power was in there, so was suggesting the coil. So all in all, a bit of an easy fix. It's on the tinier end of soldering, so a little bit on the tricky side, but at least something DIY fixable. All fixed and ready to go. So I would say difficulty level would be tier 2. There's going to be some very small fine soldering there, but it's the kind of thing that I reckon most people would have a crack at if they wanted to. Steady hands and a small tip on your soldering iron and you'll probably get away with it. So worth a shot, and who knows, it might fix it for you. As always, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.